Here's a piece of math that will either fill you with hope or make you want to throw your phone across the room. When you hit £100,000 in your investment account, you're not 10% of the way to becoming a millionaire. You're 1/3 of the way there. Yeah, I know. That sounds like absolute rubbish. How can £100,000 switch is literally 1/10 of a million represent 1/3 of the journey? Because wealth isn't built in a straight line. And that's the biggest lie our brains tell us. Picture this. You're 28 years old, staring at your investment app showing £20,000. You've been grinding for 5 years, skipping holidays, driving a sensible car, meal prepping like your life depends on it, and you look at that number and think, at this rate, I'll be dead before I hit $1 million. And honestly, you're doing the math right, but you're using the wrong formula. Because here's what nobody tells you. The first £100,000 is where 62% of the heavy lifting happens. After that, compound interest wakes up from its nap and starts doing the work for you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why billionaire Charlie Munger called the first $100,000 a bitch, but also why it's the only number that truly matters, because once you cross that threshold, the game completely changes. Let's break down the brutal, beautiful math. Part 1. The linear trap. Most people quit investing because they fall into what I call the linear trap. Here's the mistake. We think money works like a treadmill. If I put in £100 a week, every week, I get exactly £100 closer to my goal. £5,200 a year. 10 years. £50, 2,000. 20 years. £100, 4,000. And then we do the math on becoming a millionaire and think, cool, so I'll hit my goal when I'm 95? Perfect. Right in time for my funeral. This is why people give up. They look at their balance after 5 years of sacrificing maybe £30,000, maybe £40,000, and they feel like failures because in their head, they should be 3 to 4% of the way to $1 million. And they are. If money were linear, but it's not. Albert Einstein, who, by the way, understood a thing or two about math supposedly called compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world. And here's the kicker. Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it. The reality is, wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows on a curve, an exponential curve, which means the first part of the journey is agonizingly slow, and the last part is shockingly fast. Think of it like a rocket launch. In the first few seconds, that rocket is burning 90% of its fuel just to get off the ground. It looks like it's barely moving, but once it breaks free of gravity, it accelerates. Your first £100,000 is that fuel burn. It doesn't feel like progress, but it's the only thing that makes everything after it possible. Part 2. The heavy lifting phase. Let's get specific. Let's say you're investing £100 a week, roughly £433 a month, into a global index fund. Let's assume a 7 to 8% average annual return, which is historically conservative for a diversified portfolio. How long does it take to hit that first £100,000? About 12 years. 12 years. Now, here's the part that stings. During those 12 years, you are doing 62% of the work. Your actual contributions, the money coming out of your paycheck, make up the majority of that £100,000. Compound interest. It's contributing about 38%. It's on the bench, warming up, barely breaking a sweat. This is what I call the heavy lifting phase. And it's why most people tap out, because while you're in year 5, driving a 10-year-old car and skipping the lad's trip to Ibiza, your mate Dave just bought a brand new £50,000 pickup truck that he'll use twice a year to move a sofa. He's got the heated seats, the chrome, the pavement, princess, energy. And you? You've got £40,000 in an index fund that you can't touch. It doesn't feel like winning. But here's what nobody tells you about this phase. This is where you're building proof of concept. You're proving to yourself and to the universe that you can delay gratification, that you can stick to a plan when it's boring, that you can weather a market crash and not sell in a panic. Because, let me tell you, the market will crash during your first decade, and when your 60,000 pounds drops to 45,000 pounds overnight, your discipline is what separates you from the people who sell at the bottom and restart the clock. The first 100,000 pounds isn't just about the money. It's about becoming the person who can handle the next 900,000 pounds. Part 3. The snowball acceleration. Alright, so you did it? 12 years of grinding. 12 years of boring consistency. You hit 100,000 pounds. Now here's where it gets wild. How long does it take to double that to 200,000 pounds? 6 more years. You read that right. The first 100,000 pounds took 12 years. The second 100,000 pounds half that time. Why? Because compound interest just clocked in for its shift. At 100,000 pounds, assuming that same 7 to 8% return, your account is now generating 7,000 pounds to 8,000 pounds per year in returns. That's like having an invisible employee who works 24/7, never takes a holiday, never asks for a raise, and just quietly drops 8,000 pounds into your account every year. And here's the kicker. That employee's salary increases every year, because next year, they're working with 108,000 pounds, then 116,000 pounds, then 125,000 pounds. By the time you hit 200,000 pounds, you're mathematically halfway to $1 million. Not 20% of the way, not a quarter of the way. Halfway. This is the part of the journey where people start using words like exponential and magic. Because it doesn't feel like you're working harder. You're still contributing the same 100 pounds a week, but your net worth is accelerating. Remember that rocket? You just broke through the atmosphere. According to recent data, once you cross 100,000 pounds, your next 100,000 pounds increment takes about 73% of the time the first one took, and the next one after that. Even faster. It's not a straight line anymore, it's a snowball rolling downhill, gathering more and more mass as it goes. This is why Charlie Munger said, the first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. After that, it's just a matter of time. Part 4. The identity shift. But here's the thing that goes beyond the math. Hitting 100,000 pounds isn't just a financial milestone. It's an identity shift. Because when you have 6 figures in your investment account, you've proven something to yourself. You're not just someone who talks about building wealth. You're someone who does it. You've weathered the 2020 crash, maybe the 2022 downturn, maybe whatever the market throws at you next. You've seen your account drop 30% and you didn't sell. You stuck to the plan. That's not just money, that's proof of concept. And here's where it gets even better. At 100,000 pounds, you now have what some people call screw you money. Not quit your job and sail around the world money, but enough to take a career risk. Enough to bet on yourself. Enough to walk away from a toxic job without panicking. You're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. You're no longer one emergency away from financial ruin. You've got options. And here's my advice. At this stage, tell no one. I'm serious. The moment people know you have money, the dynamic changes. Suddenly, you're the one expected to pick up the tab. You're the rich friend. You're the one who gets hit up for loans. Stealth wealth isn't about being sneaky. It's about protecting your peace. It's about keeping your relationships genuine. Because the people who love you when you're broke, those are your people. Conclusion. So here's the final message. Wealth isn't built on exciting speculation. It's not built on crypto, moonshots, or meme stocks, or this one weird trick. It's built on boring consistency. It's built on investing 100 pounds a week for 12 years when your mates are buying jet skis. It's built on not checking your app every 5 minutes when the market drops. It's built on understanding that the first 100,000 pounds is the hardest thing you'll ever do financially, and that everything after it is just momentum. Because once you cross that threshold, you're not grinding anymore. You're coasting, and that invisible employee compound interest doing the heavy lifting while you sleep. So if you're sitting at 20,000 pounds right now, Feeling like you're never going to make it? You're wrong. You're not 2% of the way to 1,000,000. You're closer to 10 to 15% of the way there, mathematically speaking. The hardest part, you're already in it. Stop checking your account. Stick to the system, and I'll see you at 6 figures.